I think that finding community is probably something a lot of us struggle with as homeschoolers, at least if you don't have a built-in community where you live already. If you move to a place and you start homeschooling and you don't have like a deep community built in with family and friends that you've known for a long time, or if you're not one of the fortunate ones who just find the right pocket of people right away, it can be a struggle for most of us. Today, I kind of want to share my thoughts on community, finding one as a homeschooler, and kind of what that looks like for me. Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining me today. So, if you're new, I'm a young homeschool mom. I have three littles. I have a kindergartner, a preschooler, and a toddler. I'm also a homeschool graduate. So, I have grown up in this world from first grade to graduation. My husband is a homeschooler or was homeschooled. And so, I feel like I've been in this world for a long time. I'm not the most experienced as the teaching end. I feel like I'm learning a ton. And this channel is not meant as to be my telling you all the right ways of doing it, but merely sharing what we're doing and kind of my experiences and along the journey. So you can learn or not from my both the things I do right and my mistakes. But today's video is part of a collaboration. It's hosted over by Davene at Common the Chaos and Shauna at Homegrown Homeschool, and I will link their channels below. I will also link the link for the playlist where other moms are sharing their thoughts on how they build community as homeschoolers or just their thoughts on the topic in general. So check that out when you're done. Um, as I share it today, this is something I'm still trying to figure out currently for us as homeschoolers. It's definitely not something I have figured out. So consider this not as me giving you advice, more like sharing my thoughts. Growing up, we had a built in homeschool community. We had a home church that we participated in with large families, and they were all homeschoolers. And I just, from my experience, I don't ever remember not having a big community of homeschoolers around me. So I'm sure it was more work on my mom's end than I realized, finding those and being intentional and getting us involved in that. But for me, it just seemed natural to have other homeschooling friends. So for me, as a homeschool mom, um, we moved to a new area a couple of years ago. We didn't have any family, any friends, and we've been building community, but it's been a struggle for me. And it's something that I struggle with. And if you are an introvert or a homebody and just you like the comfort of your home and it's your safe spot, your comfortable spot, then you probably experience a struggle. It is a struggle for me to get outside and really force myself to meet people and do those activities and take my kids out with other people. That's not a natural thing for me. Now, I generally don't regret it. Like I do love having community and having that support and those built-in homeschool moms and friends for my kids. So it's worthwhile and the end result is always something I enjoy, but it's not a natural or easy thing for me to go do. If you see me looking down, by the way, I do have a couple of notes. I just made some bullet points that I kind of worked as I was thinking through this topic. So I do glance down periodically. I'm sorry if that's distracting, but it just kind of helps me keep on track a little bit. Um, yeah, so it's just not a natural thing for me to do. I'm not an extrovert. I don't go out and like people are not like how I get my thrills. Now, with that said, I am a stay-at-home mom, and so yes, I definitely need to socialize. I do feel a lack of people if I don't have any, but meeting new people in groups and all that is hard for me. It's just a stretch. Um, so it's something like I said, I'm just currently working through. So as I'm talking, it's not like I have it all figured out. This is just kind of my thoughts. But as I was sitting down thinking about like this video and how do you build community as homeschooler? I think one, you've heard the word intentionality a lot is just about being intentional and doing things even when you don't feel inclined to. Finding, researching, doing. Not just because it comes naturally to you, but because you know it's worth doing. But I also think that often we get stuck on what the idea of perfect community looks like, both for us and our kids. We have this ideal of the community you want. And we all have that. We all have the idea that we're looking for. We have the ideal friend, the ideal co op, the ideal kids, the ideal environment, the ideal time of day. Um, and I think we get stuck on that. And so I think as I'm thinking through this, I'm like, can we stretch what that looks like for us so that we're not ignoring good opportunities to build community? Um, for instance, do our friends and our community have to be homeschoolers? I mean, I think when we think build homeschool community, we think other homeschool friends, and I'm not saying it's not good to have other homeschool friends because it is. Having those built-in peers that are experiencing life similar to your children, I think it helps them feel like they're not the only one. But could your kids find friends in public schoolers? Could you find a friend who's not homeschooling her kids? Like, does it have to be this perfect homeschool clique, or can you stretch outside that? So something like, even for me, that's considering that, like, can I find other moms who are not doing exactly what I'm doing? Is that okay? And I would say, yes, absolutely. Now, it may be harder to find people who, resonate with you exactly because they've made different choices than you. And so you might just be a different kind of person. But I have friends who are going to who are plan to public school, not plan to homeschool. And that's okay. And we can still be friends. And my kids and them can still have friendships. So I would say that's one way that maybe we think of like an ideal community and then we miss out on opportunities to have friends other ways. I would say another thing that I've been thinking through, and this is particularly true for us, is do our communities have to be young families who are in the same stages of life we are, or if you're not a young family, older families. Like, does your community look like yourself? Like for me, when I think, oh, the community, I think I want another homeschool mom, a couple of them who have young children for my children to play with, who are doing the same thing I'm doing, the same grades ish, the same stage of life. And that's not always true, or I think we miss out on some good community if that's all we're looking for. Now, yes, I do want some homeschool moms who are my age, who have kids that are my kids' age, because that's a very helpful thing to have people who are in your stage of life. But it's totally fine to make community with an older couple or a couple whose children are teenagers when mine are preschoolers and who I can learn from them. Like, there's so much community to be gotten that is not in your immediate range, and so many interactive skills and benefits to be learned for your children in interacting with a different generation, that I think, again, we get stuck on this idea of what we're looking for when there's good opportunities nearby that we are ignoring. So I guess that was my first thought. And then as far as like community, finding community practically for us, what are we doing right now? Um, we have a church that is one of the main ways we have found community. Now, again, we've only been in this area for about 3 years. And so when we moved here, that was a big one. So we need to get involved in church and a small group, not just church, because church can be a little hard to make friends in, but we need to get into some of the things outside of church, meet up with people other than that, and that's been really good. We have found at least 1 or 2 other homeschool families with young children who we have made friends with and kind of built friends in for the kids and friends for us, and those friends in the other generations. Like I was saying, we built in some good friends who are not our age, whose kids are grown up, but they're really good friends and they're really good for us and good supporting and people I can reach out to and say, I need prayer. I'm having a hard day." And they can be like, "You'll make it through. I know I've made it through." And those are good friends. But so I would say church, and not just attending church on Sunday, but actually getting involved outside of the church service. So home groups have been great for us as far as building community. Some of the activities, if there's game nights or something like that for adults, those are great ways to interact and mingle, meeting up with the other families who might be involved in the kids' ministries. But I would say church is a big one for us because when I'm looking for community, I am looking for people of like-minded faith because I feel like that's the centerpiece of our life. And so that is one thing that I don't have to have in common to have a friendship. But if I'm going to be a deep friendship with the people who are really supporting me and helping me through, then that core to have in common is really helpful. So that's one place. Um, and then I would say the other thing that I think you can find community in, and this is the area of weakness for me, like I said, is in homeschool communities locally. So finding them on Facebook, um, and digging in and then getting involved in the event. So where we are, there is a large homeschool community. I don't know most of them, but there is a large presence and they have park dates, they have walking groups, they have meet up at the local like trampoline indoor building things. They have Lego play dates or whatever. And it's a challenge for me to join those. And I'm just starting now to try and get myself in the mindset of I want to join those because I know for me and my kids, it's really healthy to have those. Um, so locally, there is a group of homeschool moms who've been talking on the a Facebook page about wanting to walk more regularly, but they don't like walking by themselves. So there's a group of homeschool moms who are going to go walking with their kids. And that's only about 15 minutes from me. It's totally doable. And so I've joined that chat and I'm going to try to be intentional about making it happen, even if it's at the time of day like that. This first one is over my kids' naps, and we're going to skip naps. We can be flexible. It's in the middle of winter and it's going to be cold, but I need to do it. If I don't do it, I just won't do it. And then I'll feel like I'm missing out and I haven't built the community I want. So I think a lot of it for me is really just forcing myself to take that step once I found a possible option, and then not forcing yourself to stay there. Like, try something out, and if it doesn't work, don't like beat yourself up, but try something else. So I would say looking on Facebook and seeing if there are any local homeschooling groups is a good one because I found several local groups that do several different things, and so I'm going to try to get involved, even if it's not intuitive or comfortable for me, for my kids' sakes, and because I know I value it in the long run. We're going to do that. Um, I'm trying to think. Again, asking people in your church if there's homeschooling groups they're involved with, word of mouth through friends. I feel like some of us are more blessed than others to be in an area that has lots of homeschoolers, and so that makes it easier. Um, but really trying to like I said, I think a lot of it is intentionality and getting outside of your comfort zone. It doesn't always come naturally. Some people are blessed to have a large amount of family around them, to have built-in friends that they've known all their life, and I look at, some people I know who have that community that I grew up, and I'm like, "Oh, I miss that. I want those friends that I grew up with as homeschoolers who are now homeschooling the kids, and I wish I could be there and be a part of it, and I can't." And so rather than regretting that and being like, "Well, my situation isn't ideal," saying, "Okay, well, what is my situation, and how can I just take the next step and pursue it whether or not it's what I would want or view as ideal." So again, I don't know that this is super like, I don't have a lot of advice or opinions on how to. It's more like this is where I'm at, and these are just kind of my thoughts on it. So I would love to know your thoughts on it. Anything I've said, if it resonates with you or not, let me know. And any thoughts you have or advice for me on gaining community as homeschooler, because like I said, we're still like really in the middle of this journey of trying to find community for us and our kids. Please comment them below. Let me know. Again, don't forget to check out the playlist in the description below and see what other people have to say about building communities homeschoolers. I'm looking forward to watching this playlist because I'm hoping that I can get some tips and some input because I think I could use it. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you guys are having a really good week.